Okay.
So yeah, to start off with, the best way to do it would be to introduce you. So, who are you? Yeah,
Okay.
give
Well, my
give
name's
kind of that
Matt.
idea.
Right. My name's Matt Lee. I am currently the national director of sales for a company called Live Webinar, which I'm doing actually on a contract basis. I have my own consulting company called Verity Ascent. And I'm managing one or two other contracts where I'm assisting other companies, but my main kind of purpose in life right now is leading the go-to-market strategy for Live Webinar here in the United States.
Cool. And so how do you and I know each other?
Well, you and I know each other for many years. You used to work for me at my old company called EnvisionTel. That was probably what, 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. You came to work for us, and then you came on board as our customer success manager to help with onboarding and training and basically customer account management types of duties. And of course, we were a startup that was bootstrapped. And after I taught you everything I know, I couldn't afford you anymore, and so you moved on to greener pastures, where you took all my ideas and implemented them somewhere else, and have achieved higher levels of success than I ever achieved with them.
Sure.
So that's how we know each other.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if you, I mean, I know you and I have lightly talked about this in the past, but I know that that I had a failed business prior to coming on board with you, but I don't think you realize like how bad it was for me at that time. Like it was, I'd been I was the head of global retail training at Crocs for a while, and then left them and then started my own business. And when that happened, we landed a pretty large client. Like we pretty much almost right away, where we had a $3.2 million deal on the table over 3 years. So again, I had to ramp up and get things ready, and I dumped a bunch of my personal money, got it all set up, and then unfortunately, I didn't understand contracts. I didn't understand diversifying and making sure you take care of other clients and make sure, because the whale essentially was telling me what to do. I kind of destroyed my company by doing that. I didn't really focus that well. And when all of a sudden, their parent company came down and said they had to freeze all contracts for 6 months, I didn't have enough money to continue to make sure that we could supply what they needed. So unfortunately, I had to fold my company. At the time, I had just had my first daughter. And it was just me, and lost almost a good chunk of half my savings at that point to get there. And I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore, because I didn't want to be on the road, because I know I can go back and take a job, going back and doing training again. But I know I'd be on the road 80% of the time, which is what the problem was I had with my previous company, was never being home, which is great when you're single. But now with a child at that time, it was really important for me to be able to be home. And when you offered me the opportunity, even though I really didn't have the skill set or the understanding of exactly what you guys were doing, you guys gave me that opportunity. And obviously I feel like I did pretty well at that, for what that ended up being. But I don't think you understand like how much it really did change my life and shifted what I was doing and what I'm doing. And now I have 3 kids and stuff. And because of what you were able to teach me, I've been able to, kind of focus more on the way that I build business, how I'm doing sales, things like that. So it just means a lot, for all the different things you've taught me, you and Jonathan, from that standpoint as well. So I don't know if I've ever really said thank you for that, but it means a lot to me. So.
No, you have, and it's funny because none of that really came through back in the day. Like you build it up like there was a sense of desperation in what you were trying to do at the time, and I can sort of see that. But I would suspect that most of those anxieties and fears were probably very short term, and they were probably clouding your long-term vision because they seemed scary at the time. And it was none of it was probably anything that you couldn't have overcome just with a little perseverance and a little kind of fighting through that short-term pain or that anxiety, which I think any of us who have dabbled in entrepreneurship have experienced. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever started a company and it's been a huge success all from day one, all on their first at bat, so to speak. We all learn lessons. We all take the things that work and learn from the things that don't work. And I think the sign of somebody who has the ability to eventually succeed is somebody who can shake off the kind of those short-term failures, which are really successes. I mean, it's I know that seems counterintuitive, but I definitely have learned more from the things I messed up than the things that like were a hit. Like, even your example where you had this huge contract and it went south, which affected your entire business. We had the exact same thing. We had a massive $1 million contract, which sort of put our company on the map back around 2009, my old company. And we were just fortunate that they didn't have the problems that your customer had. So I don't know that any special skill or foresight went into us other than blind luck. Like, we just happened to have a government contract that was backed by guaranteed money. And so we didn't have any problems with somebody having to, because that was around the time, and I suspect you were probably feeling the pressure from the last financial crisis, and the ripple effect that had, because we had a lot of contracts at that time that did go south on us. They just weren't the $1 million contract, and the one that we had was with the government, which happened to have money because of the financial crisis, and so we benefited through some sort of government funded, program at the time. And all this is to say, like, I don't know that you were really in any sort of real desperation, that if you just kept making phone calls and kept talking to new customers, that you couldn't have solved those problems. Because you certainly didn't make enough money working for me to have solved any real financial problems that you had. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but you gave me the opportunity to earn, right, too, as well. It wasn't just like, here's my salary. That's kind of how the whole sales thing kind of went down that route, right? And how I now end up being the running sales here at Ken Cook is partly because of you. Like, you gave me that opportunity, like, well, if you do this, or if you exceed at this, or if you're able to help and assist in selling these areas, I was compensated for that, and enough to help me actually, get me out of some of those strains and problems and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong. My wife wasn't working either, and she was actually going back to school. A woman that could easily earn 3 times what I earned still to this day decided she no longer wanted to do anything in her field, and went back to school to start, becoming a baker, essentially, the pastry chef, and went back to school while doing it. And I could only do that because you guys gave me that flexibility from a time standpoint, so I could be home to be with my child, so my wife could go to school. You guys are really open about making sure I always had freedom to be able to be with my family. So I mean, that's not a common thing, especially back then, for companies just have that open freedom to do that kind of stuff. You guys, it really does matter. Like, it was really helpful, because now my wife has actually a pretty successful business, and partially is because you guys gave us that ability to have that time and free time to be able to make that stuff happen.
Yeah. But I don't really remember that, to be honest. I don't remember being all that flexible, other than just managing to the projects that needed to get done. I mean, I remember you being in the office every day, all day, and maybe you were back in that back office doing side deals or something. But I mean, you certainly didn't do anything that hampered your ability to get our tasks done and make our customers happy. And that's and I think at the same time, you were exemplifying an ability to wear many hats, no pun intended, the hat guy, but like that, like those kinds of traits shone through really, really quickly. And it's weird. I mean, even from the time that you interviewed with us, the main reason I wanted to offer you the job is you were the only person that showed up in a suit. I was floored at the number of people that came in to interview for that position. One guy didn't even wear shoes. He wore flip-flops. And I was like, well, what kind of people are these that come in for a job interview in flip-flops? And, maybe it was because of what we were paying and all that. But I mean, you showed up in an actual suit, and I was like, all right, well, this is the guy. And you had an ability to, carry a conversation, which was all good. And, and ultimately it ended up being the right decision, which, has played out because we've stayed close over the years, and we've worked together in a number of different
Absolutely.
capacities. And really it's because I've always felt that we kind of think the same, right? Like, I think we both work under the assumption that there isn't a problem that can't be solved by just adding more customers. You know, if we go out and we're driving business and we're driving value and creating, you know, revenue opportunities, that solves any business crisis that, you know, that you can encounter, which ultimately goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, you know, I don't know that you were in as big a dire straits as you may have thought. You just maybe didn't realize back then, if I just keep putting my foot on the gas and I keep talking to people and I keep, you know, and I keep articulating a value proposition, because if one person buys a $3 million value proposition, there's more people out there. You just got to find them. And that's really the secret sauce in any business is being, you know, efficient at finding those people that see that value the same.